in What's Next. Hear from all the big local players on both sides of the aisle and Donald Trump.
We are here to represent the supermajority of Democrats.
Fighting for a change, the local progressive Democrat in front of the White House yesterday rallying for President Biden to bow out. What he's telling us tonight.
And center stage, all eyes on Kamala Harris, endorsed by Biden, but will she get all the delegates and the money? And possible names for her VP running mate? We have live Team 10 coverage. The Night Team starts right now.
NBC 10 News starts with breaking news.
And now on the Night Team, President Joe Biden ending his run for President of the United States, making the announcement in a letter on social media this afternoon. No public appearances just yet, but he says he will speak to the nation later this week. Biden is throwing his support behind his Vice President, Kamala Harris, as the nominee. It is good to be with you on this historic Sunday night. I'm Dan Janik.
Good evening. I'm Patrice Wood. But President Biden says he is not stepping down as president and will serve the rest of his term. Now the focus turns to what's next. The endorsements for Kamala Harris are pouring in, but not from former President Barack Obama yet. South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn and Bill and Hillary Clinton are backing her. And wasting no time, President Biden's campaign has already been renamed Harris for president. And progressive donation platform Act Blue says it raised $46.7 million today.
We have Team 10 coverage tonight on Biden's history-making decision. The Night Team's Sam Reed has been speaking with Democrats all day to get their take on how Biden's decision will affect the convention.
And Aaron Coogan spent the evening getting reaction from local Republican leaders. Let's start with Sam Reed. And a lot of people saw this coming, Sam.
Well, Dan Patrice, everyone that I spoke with tonight says it's no secret that pressure has been mounting in recent months, and they believe Biden's announcement may turn over a new leaf for this presidential race.
It's been a whirlwind of a week on the presidential campaign trail following the attempted assassination of former President Trump, Biden catching COVID, and the announcement today that he will not run for re-election.
This was a selfless act by President Biden to focus on the future.
Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo worked in the White House and for the Biden-Harris campaign before leaving to represent Rhode Island. Biden and others endorsing Kamala Harris tonight.
I believe the Vice President Harris is the best person to do that and fight for the soul of our nation.
Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss represents part of Bristol County and agrees.
And I think that as a career prosecutor, she is well positioned to take on a convicted felon.
While a lot needs to happen to solidify her spot, Joe Paolino, who is the delegate for Rhode Island in the DNC, says Harris as a top ticket makes sense.
We don't have to worry about the vetting process and having any so-called skeletons coming out of somebody's closet. She's been there.
Paolino says all of this could possibly re-energize Democrats on the heels of a successful Republican convention.
The one thing that unified everybody on this was they want to see Donald Trump get defeated.
With the clock ticking, there's talk about who could possibly be on the ballot for VP.
And I hope and expect that it'll be an open and accountable process.
Paolino says he's got a few people in mind, one of them being former Rhode Island Governor and U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo.
The business community likes her. Unions like her. And I think that if they wanted to double down and have two women on the ticket.
Now, obviously, nothing is set in stone. More reaction is pouring in tonight. Let's take a look at some tweets from X. Governor Dan McKee claiming President Biden has made a selfless and noble decision. Also weighing in tonight, Elizabeth Warren. She says Joe Biden's presidency has been transformational. Senator Ed Markey says from reunifying NATO to passing the largest climate investment in our history, President Joe Biden has helped save democracy and the planet. And Sheldon Whitehouse says President Joe Biden's legacy will be his grace, effectiveness, and patriotism. Also weighing in is Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. He says President Biden has dedicated his life to bettering our country. The list goes on and on. We'll obviously have you covered on air and online, starting with sunrise tomorrow morning. I'm going to send it back to you, Dan and Patrice.
Sam Reed, thanks so much. Former President Donald Trump posted on the social media site Truth Social immediately. He says, quote, "Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve, and never was." Sources tell NBC News Trump's team has been preparing to run against Harris for weeks now. Trump's pick for vice president, J.D. Vance, has called for Biden to step down as president immediately.
Meanwhile, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is reacting to the shakeup. He spoke to reporters in Hyannis.
I want to begin by commending President Biden for a career in public service, for a long, long career in representing and serving our country, and for his handling of the many difficulties and challenges.
Kennedy is staying in the race. He's urging Democratic voters to choose a candidate themselves without party influence.
Unified and strong, local Republican leaders see this change of plan as a win for them.
They say they feel united and believe that former President Donald Trump is now in a better position to win. The Night Team's Aaron Coogan is live at the State House tonight. Aaron?
Yeah, guys, well, think about the timing. We're just coming off of the Republican National Convention, so a major source of party unity there. Local Republican leaders saying their party is stronger than ever.
Got the Democratic Party, which looks like an octopus on roller skates, quite frankly.
Local Republican leaders aren't afraid of what's to come as President Joe Biden announces he's dropping out of the presidential race, providing space for a new Democratic candidate to face off against former President Donald Trump.
As far as the polls are concerned, a fresh face may intrigue some people. However, I strongly doubt it's going to sway everybody.
President Biden is endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris, to fill his spot on the ticket, a weak choice, according to Rhode Island Senate Minority Leader Jessica De La Cruz.
A vote for Kamala Harris is the same thing as voting for Joe Biden. They run on the ticket. They have the same platform, the same ideals, and I believe still would have the same disastrous outcomes that we've seen here in the presidency of Joe Biden.
And in a case of questioning President Biden's capacity to fulfill the responsibilities of leading the nation, others now questioning Kamala's ability.
I'll be interested to see if Kamala withstands the pressure of the highlight and spotlight of a presidential campaign.
It's skepticism echoed by some Rhode Island residents.
I struggle with the idea of whether this country is ready for a woman to run it. Bottom line. I wish her well. It would be an interesting turn. Maybe we need that type of change.
While others say they're confident in Kamala to make a difference at the polls.
I mean, I think she'll compete with integrity and honesty and transparency, which is what I want in a leader. I think she cares about the country more than she cares about herself.
Of course, even with President Biden's endorsement, ultimately the decision will come up to the Democratic Convention. Live in Providence tonight, Aaron Coogan, NBC 10 News.
So as the nation and the world watches, all of us are asking what comes next. Well, let me break it down for you. First up, Harris needs to shore up the delegates before the convention, because if not, it would be an open convention and likely chaos. She needs to pick a VP, a running mate. And because her name is on the ticket, she may be entitled to use Biden's war chest, but Republicans could fight that. NBC 10 political analyst Wendy Schiller says time is of the essence.
There'll be two simultaneous contests for the Democrats, the top of the ticket and the second part of the ticket. And they only have a couple of weeks. You know, the convention for the Democrats starts August 19th, technically, to really get this going. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull it off.
You can imagine the behind-the-scenes blitz from Democrats to keep this momentum.